this is an interesting one because this is a drone. And the drone now requires a pilot certificate that says you can't, anything over a half a pound, you can't fly your drone without having a pilot certificate, and you can't go inside air traffic, and it has to not fly over people, and it has to fly no more than 400 feet above the ground, and all these weird rules and regulations. So people bought lots of electronics, but they never followed through with them because they didn't have something else that goes along with it. Does that make sense? The reason I bring this up is because lots of us buy technology. We buy the latest iPhone because it has this special camera that's going to do something. And so then we buy it, we spend an extra $300 because it has this feature on it. And then we never learned how to use whatever that feature was. All we use it for is texting and checking Facebook, right? So we're right back where we were before when we had a lesser quality product, but we spent way more for the fancy bells and whistles and all that stuff. Never learned how to use it. This is really important because people have iPads, they have tablets, they have smartphones, they have gadgets and gadgets and gizmos and all kinds of stuff. I know that in my house, we bought the GoPro, and the GoPro was a really awesome little tiny camera. And although it did a whole bunch of things, I didn't use it very often because the viewfinder on the back was like really, really small. And I couldn't really see very well what was going on. And so because I couldn't see it very well, it didn't really do what I needed it to do. And so when I went to buy another phone, another camera, I had to stop and ask myself, do I want to buy a big DSLR camera? Do I want to buy another GoPro that like I can use everywhere? But what am I using right now? And the answer was what I'm using right now is my smartphone. And the reason I'm using my smartphone is because that's how big the screen is, right? That's how big the screen is, and that's how big my viewfinder is. And so if I'm going to take a picture, chances are I would like to see right now with my eyes, did it turn out? And if it didn't turn out, I have it right now with me. I can retake it right now while I'm in the same setting. So I made a decision. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for another camera. And what I ended up buying was another smartphone. Because instead of learning all the bells and whistles of a great big fancy camera, which I've had lots of fancy cameras, I never learned really how to use them. Well, I kind of like point and shoot. You know, I'm a simpleton. But by pointing and shooting, what does that look like for me? It's going to be different for everybody. For a photographer, they're going to want the really nice camera. For me, a smartphone will do just fine. I don't need another GoPro. I need something that's going to fit inside my purse because if I don't have it with me, I'm not going to use it. Right. So it doesn't matter what you buy. If you don't have it with you, if you don't know the rules, in this case, if you don't have the pilot certificate, you're not going to use the equipment. So if it's not useful to you without whatever it is that comes next, it's not a good purchase for you. One of the things that we purchased and never used are like the little GoPros or the DLSR cameras, whatever it is that had more bells and whistles or more than we needed, and we never learned to use it, right? So then the next question becomes, will you get the license this week? And the reason I say this week is because if it's not this week, is it going to be this month? And you can push it out as far as you want. But if you're not going to get it this week and you're not going to get it this month, do you need to buy it right now? Because you can't fly it without the license. You can't fly it without the certificate. And if you can't fly it without the certificate, if you wait 2 months to the time when you're going to get the certificate, why don't you buy the drone, in this case, the drone, why don't you buy this in 2 months from now when maybe there's a later version or there's a later model or there's better technology or there's a better camera that will go along with that in 2 months? If you're not going to do it this week and you're not going to do it this month, don't buy it right now, right? So these are new conversations that we're having with ourselves, not to just talk ourselves out of buying something, but to ask ourselves, really, when am I going to use the drone? And to go back through all those different steps and all those different layers of why do I have this stuff if probably I'm going to buy it, it's going to cost me 1,500 bucks. It's going to sit on a shelf for a couple of years. Then I'm going to wish I had the newer model and still never have the certificate that goes along with it, right? So they're interesting questions. And I'm frustrated when we go inside people's homes and we see hundreds of dollars worth of things that people are not using that they bought with the best of intentions, right? Are you buying stuff based on intention? And if not, If you don't have a formula for it, is there a way to either not buy it or get rid of it?